The fact is that we have the world's strongest army. We have the world's strongest navy. We have a strong air force, and the Marines and the Navy have air power that's quite impressive. So our conventional forces are also highly valuable to deter and defend, and would make other countries think twice. And then you add into that things like the fact that the Eurasian balance of power that we've traditionally been concerned about is fractured. The idea, for example, especially after this experience in Ukraine, that Russia could take over Western Europe, amalgamate all that power, and that put pressure on the Americas is absurd. They couldn't even project power, all the way to Kiev, right? Let alone like to Berlin, Paris, the UK, and then the shores of Long Island. It's absurd, isn't it? And then when you think about the fact that China and Russia would have to bandwagon together when they have natural reasons to want to balance each other.
Yeah.
And the difficulty that China would have escaping the first island chain, let alone having to deal with Russia and its backdoor. I mean, again, the balance of power is pretty robust. And what that means fundamentally is that the United States is a lot safer than you would think if you're reading the op-ed pages of your newspaper that's basically, like Chicken Little, always worried that the sky is falling. We're a lot safer. Now, I think that where your head probably goes is, well, if the reality of the world is that we're a lot safer than we say, then there must be entrenched interests that are pushing this threat inflation. And I would say, sure, I think there are some. Not only here at home, but actually abroad, right? There are foreign countries that are trying to play in the American domestic political scene to promote the idea that the United States needs to be abroad. It makes sense. It's rational. Why wouldn't they, right? Like, why wouldn't Germany want a free ride on American taxpayers, right? It makes a lot of sense from their perspective. They're almost practicing a higher realism than we are here, right? So
they're pretty much free riding on this, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. But again, back to the ideas. A big part of it isn't necessarily the pecuniary interests. It's that people have convinced themselves about a set of assumptions about the need for the United States to go abroad in search of monsters to destroy. Either because this notion that we're not safe unless the rest of the world is democratic, or we're not safe because there's always someone out there that would do us harm and could easily do it. But regardless, this set of assumptions leads many people without a pecuniary interest to believe that we're not as safe as we actually are. But the reality is that there's just massive threat inflation for whatever reason, massive threat inflation out there. And again, I'm a realist. I think power matters. I think that the anarchic nature of the international system means that you always have to be wary for your security. Why I believe you have to have a strong military. Does it need to be at the levels we're at now, $800+ billion a year? No, but we should have a strong military, especially when it comes to nuclear power, naval power. But do we need to be doing all the stuff that we're doing around the world in order to make us safe? Absolutely not. Like, think about Syria. It just does not matter who's running Syria. It is not going to affect the United States.